Our Japanese Grand Prix F1 driver ratings. Right, let's get into the F1 driver ratings for the Japanese Grand Prix and begin with Kevin Magnussen. Qualified 18th, started 18th, finished 13th. It's going to be a whopping 5 out of 10. Gained a few positions at the beginning. I just feel as though it was a race that was very much more K-Mag than perhaps we've seen this year. Slower than Hulkenberg. If you also consider, and I will obviously bring this up in for Hulkenberg as well, that Hulk literally went into anti-stall and dropped down to P17 at one point. So he was ahead of his teammate and still didn't manage to beat him and actually got comprehensively beaten.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Kevin Magnussen as well. 13th place last year, that's a 10 out of 10 for a Haas, but they're doing a lot better this year. And yeah, like you said about much more of a Kevin Magnussen performance, we kind of saw the trend that we saw last year where Magnussen, down in 18th in qualifying, whereas Hulkenberg, a brilliant 12th. So 13th is actually like a decent enough result, but I think could have been more for him.
Okay, the fans gave K-Mag a 5 out of 10 as well. Nico Hulkenberg qualified 12th, started 12th, finished 11th.
I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Nico Hulkenberg. Good qualifying, 11th is a respectable finish. Said it so many times, say it every single podcast about it's very difficult to get into that top 10. Very good start to the season for Haas, and it's a shame that there's not more points on offer because Haas are delivering some good results.
They certainly are. I've also gone for a 7 out of 10 for Nico Hulkenberg. Of course, he did go into anti-stall, which he found confusing, so I'm going to give Nico Hulkenberg the benefit of the doubt that he didn't just slip the clutch a little bit too much and it turned on certain things within the car. I think that it was a great result for Haas. Obviously, nothing coming from it because they have scored points. They're not jostling around on 0 points trying to get the best finish that isn't in the points, even though that's what we expected from them this year. So 11th is, as you say, a great performance, not too far away from Yuki Tsunoda. I would say a solidly decent run from Nico Hulkenberg. 7 out of 10, very worthy. And the fans give him a 6. Zhou Guanyu, qualified 20th, started 20th, did not finish. I'm going to go for a 3 out of 10 for Zhou this time. I know there are some Zhou fanboys out there that want to let us know about everything that went on. Some claiming that Zhou did absolutely no running in FP3 and that's why he should be let off in qualifying when in fact he did 16 laps in FP3, and it's quite wild to see some of the claims that people make, but it was a poor weekend for Zhou. Again, the team still displaying how not to do a pit stop at all times. I've never seen a team struggle this much with pit stops, and that's coming from a Ferrari fan.
Yeah.
But for Zhou, qualifying last, showing no real pace, and then having to retire the car, I can't give him any higher than a 3.
No, I've gone for a 3 out of 10 for Zhou Guanyu as well. It was a disappointing weekend. Obviously, the retirement's not his fault, but he didn't seem to have any pace. Really on a bad run of form at the moment, which hopefully he turns around because it's his home race next.
The fans gave Zhou a 3. Nearly forgot to say that. So we're all agreed. Valtteri Bottas now. Qualified 13th, started 13th, finished 14th.
I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Bottas. I think it was a good weekend from him again. Qualified a respectable 13th when, his teammates down in last. And he was running, challenging for points in that amazing battle. But unfortunately for Bottas, it was a pit stop battle. So he was always going to lose it. And despite Stake probably doing the best pit stop they've done all year, it managed to lose him about 4 positions.
You just imagine them all just high-fiving like, yes, God, we got the car out! And then looking up and just realising they've still lost all those positions. For Valtteri Bottas, I have gone for a 7 out of 10 as well, actually. We're chefing with agreement right now, Tommy, which is not what people want to hear. But I feel genuinely sorry for Bottas. I think he should have been Yuki Tsunoda this weekend. I think he was showing great pace. 13th was a great result, as you say, in qualifying. And it was just the team that let him down. Slow pit stops, getting stuck in traffic with that multi-car pit stop. That was the crucial point. Whoever came out on top of that 5-car pit stop battle obviously had the best chance of scoring that point that Lance Stroll was apparently wanting to give away to one of the slower teams. So well done, Bottas, 7 out of 10. And the fans gave him a 6. Yuki Tsunoda now qualified 10th, started 10th, finished 10th. And he is getting a 10 out of 10. Congratulations, Yuki Tsunoda. What more can he do? Makes Q3. Gets a little bit shafted, has to be said. But then VCarb gave it right back to him and said, here's an amazing pit stop. And that allowed him to, I think, take P11 at the time. And then Hulkenberg was still out on track and eventually took P10. And then to hold off Lance Stroll, one of the greatest drivers we've ever seen in our generation, is, quite frankly, 10 out of 10 is not even enough to really sort of reflect what Yuki Tsunoda pulled off in that race. So no, I am going to give him a perfect score because he won Formula B. And if that is Max Verstappen, he's also getting a 10. So well done, Yuki.
He's getting a 9 out of 10 for me. You know, don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant drive. 10 is a P7 beating Fernando Alonso, which is exactly what he did in the last race. This was like...
Didn't we have 2 retirements that maybe thrust him up?
I was saying he beat Alonso, though, is what I'm saying, like, on the track. Whereas...
All right. And, still beating Aston Martin. I mean, Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, comparable.
Oh, yes, definitely.
The fans gave him a 10.
Wow, I'm a hater, aren't I?
You are a Yuki hater. Unbelievable. Daniel Ricciardo, qualified 11th, started 11th, finished in the wall.
Ouch. Gone for a 3 out of 10 for Daniel Ricciardo. He actually qualified pretty well. I know a lot of people were beating him up after Saturday because he finished behind Tsunoda again. He's got knocked out. He just needed a solid race and not to make not the worst error in the world, but still one that is his fault. It's not penalty and grid drop worthy like we said in the race review, but it's still a misjudgment from him at the start of the race when all cars are very close, and it's just putting even more pressure on him through a bad spell.
It certainly is. I've also gone for a 3 out of 10 for Daniel Ricciardo. It's sad. It was sad to see just a misjudgment. It is definitely more him to blame for it. Without his movement, they're not crashing. He just needed a nice solid race, and that did not happen. So it's unfortunate for him. And the fans gave Daniel Ricciardo a 3 as well. Logan Sargent qualified 19th, started 19th, finished 17th. Gone for a 3 out of 10 for Logan Sargent. Might feel slightly harsh, but at the end of the day, this man has crashed in free practice, obliterated his car so that he couldn't run at all in Friday. Not that it really mattered at the end of the day because FP2 was a washout anyway. So he kind of got away with it in some ways through that. But then showing glimpses of hope, then making a fatal error that going off at Degner 2, that has to have a big effect on one's grade because he was running in an all right position, wasn't going to score points. But still, it was Logan's not taken any headlines. He's just gone round the track for 50 odd laps and finished the race. But then he ended up in the gravel and finished last of the runners. So it's a 3.
I've gone for a 2 out of 10 for Logan Sargent. Yeah, his drive in the race itself, he was doing all right at stages. It looked like at the start and the restarts that he was staying out of trouble. I don't know if it generally was a bad start or if he was doing something that I think maybe a few of us have done before on open lobby Formula 1 games where you just roll into turn 1 quite slowly and let the pack do their thing and just think, I do not want to make a mess here. But then another mistake in the race. How many mistakes is he going to have? And not good.
Fans gave Logan a 4 out of 10, so feeling a lot more generous. Alex Albon qualified 14th, started 14th, did not finish.
Gone for a 5 out of 10 for Alex Albon. Difficult one to grade.
Tell me about turn 1. How did you assess his turn 1?
I assessed it.
A beautiful 5.
It's very difficult. I do think Albon, though, and the reason, he's qualified all right, but I do think while it was Daniel Ricciardo's fault, it was maybe slightly brave of him, knowing Williams' situations, to stick his nose in there. That when it could have happened, it wasn't his fault, but It's still a bold thing to do when Williams don't have the best of times with car parts and chassis and things at the moment, and they are going through their budget cap very quickly this year.
Yes, not that they will struggle with money due to their Doralton capital things, and Williams aren't struggling financially, but more on the cost cap budget side, and also as James Vowles mentioned, around their whole process is being quite archaic and them not being able to actually have all of these spare parts. The fans gave Alex a 5. Esteban Ocon qualified 15th, started 15th, finished 15th. And it is a 5 out of 10. My goodness gracious me, Alpine. They've got a slow enough car as it is, and they thought, no, let's make contact at the start between the two Alpines. That's the way to make things even better. I think Ocon picked up a bit of damage, and Gasly did as well, picking up a bit of floor damage from that bump from Esteban. And they were just... it's not any lower than a 5, because I've begun to really soak in the fact that they are genuinely one of the worst teams on the grid. And it doesn't look like it's going to change. It's got worse. They brought upgrades and they've got worse. What more is there to say? Just fully depressing, really, for Alpine.
It is very depressing. I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Esteban Ocon. Again, I feel like he's doing a better job than Gasly this year, and did so again in qualifying. Ocon was doing some nice moves during the race. I think he did like 13 overtakes or something, which is quite impressive. 13
overtakes and finished 15th. That is ridiculous.
Which just shows
he started where he finished, and he overtook 13 times.
Whilst other cars were like DNFing, it just shows that, it's not good for Alpine.
Let's now say that the fans gave Ocon a 5 as well. Pierre Gasly qualified 17th, started 17th, finished 16th.
This is a 5 out of 10 for Gasly. The worst of the Alpines. Not much to say. Pretty quiet race. He looked like the slowest driver on earth, but we know that it was a bit of damage as well as a terrible Alpine. But boy, did it look like it wasn't moving sometimes. I think you meant...
Yes, I'm going to give a 5 for Pierre as well. I know he finished 13 seconds behind his teammate, but you could visibly see that car was an absolute tractor with that damage on. So I'm not going to take any points away from Pierre due to that. And the fans gave him a 5 as well. All right, everybody, put your seatbelts on. It's Slander Tommy time. Lance Stroll qualified 16th, started 16th, finished 12th. Lance Stroll, 2 out of 10. That was one of the worst drives I have seen Lance do. He finished a whopping 1 minute, pretty much, behind his teammate. 60 Great British seconds. And for those people that have... Because I put a tweet out about how has Lance not only not caught Tsunoda on softs, but lost a position to Hulkenberg. And people are coming to his defence. Well, the Aston's actually pretty terrible on its tyres. Did anyone see Fernando Alonso's stint at the start on the soft tyres on heavy fuel? Full fuel? Lance Stroll whacked him on with, 18 or so laps to go. On softs, the fuel much lower, and bro could not beat Yuki Tsunoda for the final point. That is absolutely unforgivable.
Yeah, I've gone for 2 out of 10 for Stroll as well. His qualifying, again, terrible. Fernando Alonso is P5. One thing we complain about in Formula 1 at the moment, and a driver can make that extra bit of difference, but we know how important a car is in Formula 1, and a lot of the time in Formula 1, and we did in this race, you saw Red Bull, Ferrari, and it can be, a lot of the time, 2 by 2, or at least they're very close. No other teammate pairing has such a chasm between them. Fernando Alonso, he is 42 years old now. He's beatable. Lance has been in Formula 1 for a very long time. The gap should not be that big. He didn't even beat Formula B. It's just shocking. It is actually, it's embarrassing.
Oh God, I love it when you pop off, honestly. It gets me going. The fans gave Lance Stroll a 3. Fernando Alonso, here we go. Qualified 5th, started 5th, finished 6th. Go on, Tommy, off you go. Come on.
It's a 15 out of 10 for Fernando. No, it's a 9 out of 10 for Fernando. I think it's a very good drive. I don't think the Aston Martin should be qualifying 5th. It almost is like normal for him to be 5th in an Aston Martin where his teammate is racing Formula B. So yeah, it's a great performance. And then just, little things again, like the way he was backing off to give Piastri the DRS like Sainz did in Singapore. Just very smart driving. Just brilliant.
Big brain strats from Fernando. Yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 from me as well. Just amazing to watch. He's always just there, even if that Aston Martin is pretty terrible. Just throughout his career, he's always been able. He almost drives better when his car is rubbish. I feel like it just unleashes the dog in Fernando, if I'm being completely honest with you. And the fans gave Fernando an 8. Oscar Piastri qualified 6th, started 6th, finished 8th. 7 out of 10 for Oscar Piastri. It was by no means as bad as the last time we went to Suzuka in comparison to his teammate, but still lacking, I would say, in the race and in qualifying actually this time around. I still think it's a 7 out of 10 worthy performance. Still decent. He's still there scoring points and mixing it with the other drivers for P6 at the end. But yeah, there's something about Japan that just doesn't click, I think, with Oscar at the moment. So it's a 7.
Yeah, I've gone for a 7 out of 10 as well. I think he's had a very good start to the season and been a little... I think he's taken a step forward. Maybe it is those circuits where there's a bit more tyre wear. He's still getting used to that in Formula 1. He's not been anywhere near really Lando this weekend, when in the other races this year he has been a lot closer and beaten him sometimes as well.
And the fans gave Oscar a 7. Lando Norris qualified 3rd, started 3rd, finished 5th.
Gone for an 8 out of 10 for Lando Norris. It's a difficult one to grade because I think his qualifying was sensational, but in the race I don't think it was helped by a bad McLaren strategy, and Ferrari seemed to be better on their tyres, which is a mad thing to say this year, but it is true.
Here we go.
5th is almost a disappointing result, but it's just a very good drive.
We're on the Agreement Express because I've also gone for an 8 out of 10 for Lando Norris. I think that McLaren let him down slightly. I'm really unsure as to how Charles Leclerc's beaten him. I know that Ferrari is definitely a bit quicker, but I just feel as though P4 was surely on the cards for Lando. The fact that Leclerc
they pitted at the same time, didn't they?
Yeah, the same time as Lando is wild to me, considering they were on completely different strategies. 8 out of 10, and the fans gave him an 8 as well. Carlos Sainz qualified 4th, started 4th, finished 3rd. It's a 9 out of 10 from me for Carlos Sainz. I think he was very impressive once again. Delivered in qualifying, out-qualified Charles Leclerc, which is no mean feat. But Carlos is showing that the pace is there, and it helps so much more, especially now with the Ferrari having that drivability, having the ability to go further on the tyres. It puts Carlos in a great position that he can qualify 4th and be right up there. So he is a man unleashed since Ferrari let him go.
Yeah, I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for Carlos as well. Continued that amazing form. He is driving so well. His overtakes were very impressive, very clean. Like he was racing on a track like Suzuka. It's not an easy place to pass, even though we did see quite a few overtakes. But yeah, he just did a brilliant job.
The fans gave Carlos a 9. Charles Leclerc qualified 8th, started 8th, finished 4th.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10. His race was very good. His strategy was a good one, but I don't think it was an easy one for him to execute. And I think while it's Ferrari that did the strategy, I think you have to give some credit to Charles Leclerc for being able to do the job. But I can't give him a 9 because he qualified down in 8th. I know it's a small gap to his teammate, but it put him on the back foot for him to need to do that in the first place. And it's another sort of race that he's finished behind Sainz, but still a solid result.
Yeah, I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Charles. Well, it was a brilliantly executed race. It was all lost in qualifying. 1/10 of a second, that's all it was. But that is what we've said many, many times through this period of Formula One, and how close it can be in qualifying, and being on the wrong end of that can completely scupper your race. And that's not something that Charles ever really had to deal with before. It's always been, he's been on the front row. Can he do anything about it? Starting 8th around a track like Suzuka is a really difficult race ahead of him. Yeah, I think he deserves his plaudits. It can't be any higher than an 8 because finished behind his teammate, and that was due to qualifying, I would say. And the fans gave Charles Leclerc an 8. George Russell qualified 9th, started 9th, finished 7th. So 7 out of 10 for me for George Russell. Showed some good pace. Hamilton even volunteered to let his teammate through, which I don't think I've ever heard in the history of Lewis Hamilton's career, him actually coming over the radio to suggest they swap. Yeah, George, I think, had a great race. I liked the overtake aggression on Piastri. I think it was a good drive from George once again, showing that he's not got a great car, but when you compare him to Lewis Hamilton, if he's anywhere near him, he's having a good season.
I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for George Russell as well. After qualifying, I was surprised that he was on the back of Hamilton, and it looked like Hamilton would have the better of him this weekend because Hamilton was so much quicker in qualifying, and then normally Hamilton's the one that's better in the race, but George did a fantastic job.
Fans gave George a 7 out of 10. Lewis Hamilton qualified 7th, started 7th, finished 9th.
Gone for a 6 out of 10 for Lewis Hamilton. Wow, is he having a bad start to the season. I cannot believe I heard a radio message of him going, oh, go on, I'll let George through him. And it is bizarre. I don't think for a second that he's giving up. I know people will push that narrative that, oh, he's just ready to join Ferrari and stuff. That's not who he is. He wants to win, and he'll want to get a victory at Mercedes before he goes. But I don't think he will, because boy, is that car shockingly bad.
I'll go for a 6 out of 10 for Lewis Hamilton this time. Yeah, I think we've kind of explained it all. He didn't have great pace at the start, but I think showed some good speed at the end. Of course, Russell kind of got stuck, I would say, behind Alonso and Piastri, so maybe that's where a bit more of that gap came down towards the end. But yeah, just not the races I expect to see from Lewis Hamilton, but he is only human. Let's not forget that as well. I don't think for a second he's giving up, but I'm sure he's wondering what that 2025 Ferrari car is going to be like and how nice it's going to be to drive, especially in qualifying. The fans gave Lewis Hamilton a 6. Sergio Perez qualified 2nd, started 2nd, finished 2nd. It is a 9 out of 10. Great performance this weekend. Exactly what the doctor ordered. Qualified on the front row, so close to getting pole position. Not on Max's level, copy and paste. Not on Max's level, but doing the job that Red Bull team want from him. And I'm really happy. I'm really happy to see that from him.
Yeah, I've gone for a 9 out of 10 as well. Brilliant qualifying. Very close to getting pole, like you say. And in the race, yeah, he was away off Max and had to come through the field, but his passes were great to watch. And yeah, another brilliant result from him at the start of the season. It's now going to be fascinating to see if he carries that form on, because of course this is exactly what I did last year. He just needs to avoid that mid-season slump like he had last year, and if he's doing what he's doing, like we've said many times, absolutely no chance he's going to lose that Red Bull seat if he keeps delivering second place every race.
The fans gave Perez a 9. And finally, Max Verstappen qualified 1st, started 1st, finished 1st.
It's a 10 out of 10. The Max Verstappen revenge tour happened.
Begins now.
Yeah, just brilliant. It's just really good. I've not actually said this for
Everybody's
a while.
got their bingo card out.
No, to be fair.
What more is there to say, really?
To be fair, that was like halfway through last year, and I've actually had a lot to say recently, but this one is just Max being Max. It just makes it look saucy. Effortless. Yeah, what more to say?
There you go. Ding, there ding. It is. Tick it off. What more is there to say? Max Verstappen, it's a 10 out of 10 for me as well. Well done, sir. You did everything you needed to do. Congratulations. Great drive. Hardly saw you the whole race. Great. Both starts were brilliant. And then he drove away and had a great time. So congratulations, Max. And that is that. The fans also gave Max a 10 as well. No surprise. Who is our P1? Well, for you, it has to be Max Verstappen, but for me, I give it to Yuki Tsunoda because I'm a big fan. Big fan of Yuki Tsunoda. The only one apparently on this podcast. But yeah, so that's mine and yours, Tommy.
Of course, it's Max. And I will clarify that Max was given an NA based on the vote last week, although we were so like, should he get an NA or a 10? And because he's got 10 every week, it actually makes no difference.
Lovely stuff. Well done, Max. And that is it. Have an amazing rest of your week. No Formula One this weekend, but we go to China next week, and that will be fun when we are live on Twitch for the sprint at 3:30 in the morning. That is going to be absolutely incredible. See you soon.
God, it better be good. Otherwise, you're having another sprint rant.
Oh, I certainly am. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, and bye from Frank. That was cute.